Hey everyone, I'm actually re-recording the intro to this video. I had made a video on a lot of leaks that were coming out today as they were kind of coming out, kind of by the minute even. And then as I hit publish in classic Dead Unlocked fashion, a massive image was released that kind of shows a massive spoiler about what could be coming to Deadlock. I'm actually going to put that at the end of the video. That way, if you don't want to see the full-on spoiler, but you kind of want to see a little bit of what's been teased, you can have that. But like I said, if you want to see kind of the full breadth of what we're talking about in some of this video, at least in part, hop over to the end of the video. There's still plenty of other good stuff within the video itself, covering, hero remodels, a massive interview about Deadlock's future. So still stay tuned for all of that. But if you want to see the full image, hop over to the end of the video and I'll rejoin you there. All right, everyone, buckle up because we have some major Deadlock leaks coming today, including a little leaker war between a few people back and forth. I want to break down everything that is coming across the pipeline today. Some of this is literally just minutes old, so I wanted to get something out to you all quickly. But we've got some base updates, we've got some Patron changes, we've got a HUD change, a bunch of hero remodel reworks. I want to go through everything in this quick video so you all have all the latest for what could be coming to Deadlock in the near future. Hey everyone, this is Connor here at Dead Unlocked, and let's dive fully into all the leaks that we have today. All right, and just for sake of ease, we'll start with where we're at currently. And so this was posted by Deadlock Project 8 7 minutes ago. Oops, leaked. Looks to be two sides that appear to be maybe like a new Amber Hand, and I forget what the other side of Deadlock is called. But then Minesweeper here, another leaker who I've actually covered recently on the channel, saying better, show us some screenshots, etc., etc. And then oops, better again from Deadlock Project 8. Showing what looks to be, and they've tweeted this out previously, just earlier today, 3 minutes ago, this came out, of a new patron. Supposedly, this is what the one side of the patron will look like. You also can see a little mirage here, kind of maybe even confirming that this is an associated net worth between these two images. Either way, this looks crazy. It is a way different view of Deadlock. I mean, what you can see immediately here is that you have the total souls right next to the kind of team's icon, which are both totally different now. Let's hop over and see what else we've got going on these leaks. All right, so this is kind of a more full picture of what we have so far about these leaks from Deadlock Project 8. Again, these are leaks. I have no idea what the source would be for this from Deadlock Project 8. They have not revealed that, so everything about this should be taken with a grain of salt, as with any leak that we cover on the channel would be. I just like to give that disclaimer up front, but let's dive in. Inside about the update. Camps on the map will remain the same. That's super interesting. That would be contradictory to what I would think, but hey, we'll go with it. Base got a full rework. There's a statue / patron in the center, a standing character with horns, and 2 exits. At these exits, there are shops and the healing station / base. The zip lines are now merged into one when leaving the base and then split into 3 lanes. There are 2 fans placed close to the exit from the Tier 3 tower. Base exits are now located on both upper sides on elevated platforms, and a new HUD. Total net worth is now displayed at the top. The teams are no longer labeled Amber Hand, etc., but now Deer and Star. So that would explain where we see the new HUD. Wow, this is a crazy change. This kind of confirms what we covered a few days ago on the channel, rather, about the base getting, a probable rework, new patrons, all of that. It looks like we finally have more information here and some art to kind of back it up. Let's take a look at what else we have on this from Project 8 and some other sources as well. In addition to all the base leaks and everything that we just covered, this one's a little bit older, but I wanted to go ahead and hop into it. It's within the last 12 hours, so I figured it's still definitely worth covering. But this is a leak that came from someone called Hezi, directly to Sleep. Obviously, all subject to change. Leaks, same kind of setup as we had before, but this has to do with some hero model reworks we might be getting. In particular, Viper, Yamato, Viscus, and there's actually one more for Sinclair we'll take a look at after this. But this is a retweet of a post that showed some old images of Paige and Billy. I feel like the reason to post this if you're a leaker is to kind of give yourself some ethos, kind of saying like, hey, I had some access to some unreleased stuff. Here it is to kind of validate some claims I'm about to make. I'm guessing that's the case for why Hezi, gave this to Sleep here. But here's what we have. So Viper remodel is currently in the works, but is going in a different direction than was previously leaked. No more Cobra head, but Hezi did say in a reply down here, it might still be in the direction of a Cobra for Viper, just more cartoonish if anything. Not much to go off of here. If you are curious about the Cobra head leak, I'm sure you can track that down on Reddit. If I can, I'll find an image for the video as well. But it was basically that it was more of like a hyper-realism take on Viper, that it really made Viper look like a snake. I personally like the current Viper model quite a bit, so I hope they don't change it too much, but that's just me. And then Yamato and Viscus remodel currently in the works. Obviously remodel as a term for both of these is interesting. I don't know if that means complete overhaul or just touch-ups. Like, I don't know if you'd call what the changes from Ivy were, you know, post and pre, a remodel, quote unquote. But in any case, Yamato is certainly one that needs it. I feel like that is a really old model for that character, and you can kind of just tell that it looks a little clunky. Viscous, I don't know though. Viscous is an interesting one. Viscous is just a green goo ball. He's always been that. And I don't know. I guess there could be some more detail you give Viscous, but in any case, those two expected some reworks as well. There's also a post here of what I don't know who this text exchange is between. The watermark is hilarious. A little shot at Project 8 there. But Sinclair remodel is in the works, rather. So I'll just kind of go through this exchange here. Can you describe how the Sinclair remodel was looking from what you saw? I'm assuming this is between Sleep and Hezi, but I'm actually not positive here. Just more refined, not human directly, but in that direction of a man and a woman from, you know, like whatever time period Deadlock is in, maybe 10 years before. I can't really describe it. It's just very magician and assistant core, like every 60S magician ever. Does the model change? By model changing is indifferent from what it is now. Yes, by changing when it switches between Savannah and Henry, from what I've gathered, I think they want something like that, but I don't think it's 100% a thing. So I guess the theory here, or the potential leak, is that Sinclair will have like two different forms, like a man and a woman that he transitions between. This is kind of a crazy one. I really don't know what to expect from this, but in any case, we'll keep an eye on this one for sure. I actually think there may have been a response from Project 8 to this, kind of some back and forth between the leakers. Love a little leaker wars and Deadlock, you know? So let me hop over and check out at least what they had to say about the hero model reworks as well. And yeah, if I had to guess, this seems like a little bit of a response to the post from Sleep. The Sinclair and Viper models have been updated, though not significantly. The update seems similar to the new Pocket model, so at least from this, you know, there's obviously there's probably theoretical stages of hero development. So it could have been that the leak that we just covered was either just totally invalid, or perhaps that's something that was in the works, being considered, being toggled with. I know Valve, you know, there's kind of the sentiment that Valve really doesn't ever scrap anything fully. This could have just been an idea that was being worked around, according to Project 8, though, which, again, this is also just an unconfirmed leak still. The Sinclair and Viper models have been updated, though not significantly so. Probably nothing overhauled-esque about Sinclair or Viper. However, this doesn't cover Viscous or Yamato, so those two still very much on the table as well. Obviously, a lot to dive into with all of this. Crazy leaks coming across the pipeline today, but, you know, this is all, again, subject to change. We don't know how final any of this is, if any is at all. So, just want to provide that kind of grain of salt disclaimer one more time. And there's one final thing I want to cover in this video, and I hate to just kind of tack it on at the end because it does feel like it probably deserved its own coverage, but in the wake of all these leaks, I still want to be able to talk about this. This is an interview that GabeFollower did. If you don't know who GabeFollower is, this is just kind of like a Valve insider, someone who is connected to a lot of different Valve titles, CSGO, Dota, the past, everything, right? And this was actually an interview done in Russian through an interview from this person, Tavern AGG. I want to go through some of, actually quite a bit of this interview, because I do think that if this is a legitimate interview and this was translated correctly and truthfully and all that good stuff, this is actually a super fascinating thing from GabeFollower, who I think I view personally, at least, as a pretty trusted source within kind of Valve news, leaks, updates. So let's jump into this. I'm just going to go through the interview kind of frame by frame. I'll stop at different points if there's anything notable, but this is a pretty big wall of text, so bear with me. I'm probably going to misspeak and all that good stuff as I read this. So let's jump right in. I'm actually going to jump around different points. There's a lot about some other games in here, so I'm going to kind of focus on the Deadlock part of this. But opening question is basically, is Dota or CS Valve's favorite game? GabeFollower says, you know, honestly, both opinions are wrong. The favorite child is Deadlock. And then he goes on to talk about this. There are many pitfalls the community doesn't understand. The absolute priority right now is Deadlock, their new competitive game. The, quote, innovation factor has always been a part of Valve's DNA. They want to create something new. Especially with rumors that Ice Frog has moved over to Deadlock, you can actually see it. When Deadlock slows down with patches, Dota 2 speeds up, and vice versa. These teams overlap a lot, and the Team Fortress team is also involved with them. I think Deadlock will be the main priority for the next few years. Valve sees the potential in it, especially for developing the esports scene. There are no real competitors. The game is quite unique. Another major focus for the company is single-player games. They're working on Half-Life, rumors about Left 4 Dead 3 as well, etc. They're also developing several demos for the VR headset, possibly something related to Team Fortress 2. So overall, the priorities are, according to Gabe in this interview, obviously, Number 1, Deadlock. Number 2, single player games. Question here. Speaking of Deadlock, how close is it to release? For most developers, a quote beta usually means the game is basically ready for launch. Deadlock started off strong, even when some esports teams got involved, but now those clubs are gone and the player numbers are modest. Gabe has a long answer for this one. Honestly, I have no idea why those clubs joined in. That was one of the most irrational decisions ever. Valve hasn't officially even announced the game. It's in some kind of alpha, beta, gamma stage. And yet they started running tournaments for a game that changes every week, trying to find a meta in a constantly shifting environment. Makes no sense. Little break here. Right now, Valve doesn't care about Deadlock's player count or its esports scene. Those are important in the long run, but at the moment, they're focused on creating something interesting and new, something that resonates with people. Pure numbers don't matter to them right now. They care about real human feedback, reading what players write, understanding what they want. They've completely changed their approach to community interaction. I'm a moderator in their Discord, and they actually want to talk directly with the community. That's a first for Valve. Previously, they'd only had servers for Artifact and Underlords. You can see the pattern here, etc., etc. Now, Deadlock, they're leaning into the idea of developing a game side by side with the community. The game has changed a lot over the past year. I don't think it's coming out anytime soon. Not in a year, maybe not even in 2. That's kind of crazy. Chronologically, the game has been in development for 8 years already. Spending another year or 2 to create something people will play for 10 or 20 years, that's how Valve thinks. They don't focus on what will happen in the next couple of years, but on how people will play a decade from now. This philosophy applies to CS and Dota as well. They care about the long-term story. That's why they're willing to turn a blind eye to short-term problems. Crazy interview, a lot here from GabeFollower. Appreciate the translation for Project 8, but yeah, this is a really fascinating one. There's a lot here. Biggest takeaways from this interview, this is obviously a wall of text we just talked about a lot. Handful of things I would keep in mind. It seems like Deadlock is the priority, which I would think kind of obviously, yes, it is. The hideout, the last set of updates, everything we've been seeing with even the leaks we covered today, of course Deadlock's the priority. It absolutely should be. It's this unbelievable, unique thing. And it seems like, you know, it was probably on a steady chart for a while of like time investment from Valve. And that chart seems like it has skyrocketed. And that's why we're getting some other help from, you know, prominent developers like I think Ice Frog coming over from Dota. But the point here, I think, is really interesting. I don't think it's coming out anytime soon, not in a year, maybe not even in 2. I don't think is a really important part of that. This is not a confirmation that Deadlock's not coming out in the next year or 2. I really am still pretty bullish that Deadlock could be coming fairly soon. I know they've worked on the game for 8 years, and that is a true fact. I mean, they've, you know, Neon Prime, all the stuff before. This is an idea that's been baking for Valve for probably a very long time. However, this game, I don't know how you don't see this game as being close to the finish line, at least in some sense. Now, I'm not saying this is going to release in the next month or 2. Nothing like that. Maybe it will come out in a year or 2, and maybe it will be that long, but I really think we could see something in 2026 in a very legitimate way from Deadlock, based on the patterns of what we've been seeing so far, especially when you consider all the leaks, like I said, we just covered, base and Patron being completely overhauled. It feels like just about every part of the game has had this kind of thoughtful facelift rather. And that is where I'm kind of viewing that as like our barometer for how far along we are. We've touched up almost every single hero. We've touched up the shop. We've now touched up just about every part of the map. There's a few areas still to go, obviously. Objectives, queues, matchmaking, all of it's getting adjusted. So all in all, like I said, a lot covered here today. This is kind of a scrambled all over the place video, but to recap, some major changes to the base coming, some hero reworks probably in the works, and a very long interview from a Valve insider covering some of the biggest parts about Deadlock's future. All in all, though, let me all know what you think about all of this in the comments. I'm going to keep my eyes peeled for anything else today. A lot of this was breaking as I was making a video. I actually had started recording another video just about the hero remodels, and I had to stop recording because I saw some tweets coming through and some information from my Discord server I'm in coming through. So a lot going on, but thank you all so much for tuning in as always. Let me know in the comments what you think about all this, and from our house to yours, we'll see you all next time here at Dead Unlocked. All right, and like I said at the beginning of the video, we are here now at the end of the video because this image was shared 1 minute after I published the video. Classic Dead Unlocked moment, right? Classic YouTuber moment. But this is an insane image. This is an actually crazy image. Deadlock Project 8 posted this on X. I'm in a Discord server where I actually had seen this previous. However, I did not want to share that. I was trying to protect some sources, didn't want to put this out there quite yet. So here we are. This is what looks like it's going to be the new base, at least on one side of the map. As we talked about earlier in the video, there's like a deer stag side of the map now, or supposedly coming to Deadlock. I guess I should put a caveat that this is all leaks, but based on the image we're seeing here, this seems to validate a lot of what we're talking about in the video. This is, like I said, just a really, really insane image. So let's break down what we're looking at. Let's start with the biggest and kind of most prominent parts of this, I would say, and that is just that the new Patron, at least like the image of it, or the, you know, some kind of spectral version of it up here, and then the actual Patron itself here look crazy sick. We have a new HUD that shows all of the team's obviously values here. We talked about that earlier in the video. And then what you can see in the mini-map, actually, we have a convergence of the zip lines, like was confirmed, where they actually come out to one singular point here, and then kind of go out from there. So we have, like I said, the kind of meeting point here. They go out. It actually makes some of the lanes look a little bit different. I can't tell in the mini-map. I'm trying to look really closely. This is kind of a scuffed image, but I don't think many of the jungle camps have moved. I don't think there's too much different about the rest of the map. This probably just does seem to target the base. I will point out a couple other things I have noted on this image, though. I'm a big font guy. I love fonts. New fonts for everything. New number fonts. The 650 is different. The 0 over here is different. The font up here is different. Otherwise, this is just a lot of new stuff within the base itself. You can actually see right down here in the very bottom are some new shrines, which is pretty cool. You just have a whole different base in general. It just looks completely different than it used to. Obviously leaning a lot more into that like underground industrial, like streets of New York, sewers of New York, just kind of workshop vibe, warehouse vibe, if you want to call it that. This looks really, really incredible. I just wanted to show this image. I don't have too much other analysis on it. I could probably get into the weeds and pick apart every single piece of it, but at the very least, this does look to be a new direction that Deadlock is taking the base. We'll keep an eye, and I probably won't republish this video again. If there's any more leaks today, I may just have to release a new video on it, but yeah, crazy stuff today from Deadlock. Appreciate you all for tuning in. Sorry if you saw the video for like 2 minutes on YouTube and I took it down and you're confused, but I felt like I had to include this image because it is a really, really massive change. So, as always, thank you all so much for tuning in, and from our house to yours, we'll see you all next time. Maybe with some more leaks today, who knows? Here at Deadlocked. We'll see y'all next time.